Ser, who you're an attorney and active in the community.
Yes.
Right. And I do want to thank University Credit Union for sponsoring the show, Michael Welch and the great team out there. So Lillian, you're involved in civic and social events. So tell us some of the things that you do for the bigger community rather than just in your law practice.
Well, in the law practice, we focus our efforts working with small and mid-sized businesses. So as far as our community involvement, we are involved with several organizations, one of which is the Greater Kendall Business Association, organizations that whose members are small and mid-sized business owners. We also do a lot of education. On our website, you can find an entrepreneurship video series that we've been doing. We used to do them in person, but we're now on video. We put out a lot of educational materials for the small business community, from how to buy a business to how to franchise, contracts, employment issues, full range of topics.
And people, business people, and people that are going to go into business enjoy watching those type of things because it gives them an unobtrusive look and about how to move things forward. And when Grant and I started in business here, it's just like, let's just do it, whatever it was. And then after a couple of years, we went, we were really lucky that all those unforeseen things didn't happen. So let's talk about, if we could, the Greater Kendall Business Association. How long have you been involved with?
I have been a member. It's almost 4 years now. And I went at an invitation of one of my clients. And their logo or their tagline is the friendliest place to do business.
Yes.
And I came away from that luncheon feeling that way. Great group of people, hardworking business owners, full range of businesses. So it's very interesting. And other than that, they're just really humble and hardworking individuals. And it's a pleasure being part of that organization. I am a trustee member, and I've been on the board now for a year. I'm vice chair, so I will be heading it up next year. Of course, like many organizations, this past year, we're struggling a little bit, and we are trying to keep our membership. I started there an education series that we do for small businesses, and we have focused our efforts there to bring those business owners information, education as to how to keep their businesses going and surviving during this crisis.
And that's what small and medium and large businesses need to do. There's a very large company in town that started selling off some of their assets. I see they just are issuing $1 billion worth of bonds to stay in business. So that's the big guys.
That's the big guys.
And so we know the small people, the small businesses like ourselves, really need not just direction, but options about when they can do this, and they need somebody that they can talk to. And I'm glad you're there trying to help them do that. And in the Greater Kendall Business Association, they're small business, meaning 1, 2, and 3 people, and then they have some large companies, such as Baptist Health is a member there,
Absolutely.
and everybody in between.
Absolutely.
So inquiring minds want to know, where'd you go to law school?
University of Miami.
Of course.
Of course, go you.
And prior to going to law school, where'd you go to undergraduate?
University of Miami.
Oh my goodness. So when did you know that you wanted to be an attorney?
Well, that's a long story, but I actually went to law school late in life. I was 35 when I started law school. I have an MBA, and I worked at the university as the bursar for many years. So I was on the campus for 17 years. And so that background, when I finished law school, I went and worked for big law. I worked for Schutz & Bowen and Greenberg Traurig, and then went in-house and ended up on my own during the last Great Recession. And what all of that prepared me to do is to work with business owners. I'm a small business owner. I own several businesses, and that is how we stand apart from other law firms that work with small businesses, that we bring that business perspective to every situation.
So Lily, how did it feel from going some of the most prestigious law firms in town? And when we say that, that's probably also parts of Florida and maybe across the nation, certainly huge firms. So what was that like going from the protection, if you will, of these big firms to going, I'm going to go do this, just me and myself and I? What was that like?
Well, it was not planned, I have to say. I was laid off during that recession, and I was a single mom, and I had two kids in private school, so I had no choice but to start using my skills. And it all sort of grew organically. And I have to tell you, Michael, it was the best thing that happened to me. Being a business owner is exciting, it's fun, it's also incredibly stressful. It is, it requires you to wear all different types of hats. You're the IT person, you're the marketing person for a while, you're the accountant, you're the business developer, and oh, you're also the lawyer. So it's hard, but it's fun.
So here we are back in 2008 or 9, right? Where you were working for a very big firm. They said, listen, we have a change of plans. Thank you for your service. See you later. So at that point, what was it like emotionally?
It was hard. I have to admit it was very hard. I was working with huge companies and major real estate projects. And so it took a little adjustment because it almost felt like I took a step backward, honestly. But in the end, I think that it was really 3 steps forward because there's so much more enjoyment and there's so much more personal satisfaction when you can help a small business owner get to that next level. For example, I've represented quite a few small restaurants that I've been able to get them into the airport. That is huge. That took them to the whole next level. I've obtained minority certifications for many construction companies that has allowed them to participate in huge jobs.
So what is that like when you go to work with the client, not for them, all right, with them, because you become this party, to help them. So what's that like when you get that success? This is not suing other people. This is helping them get business. So what was that like as you started getting the approval? Yes, it looks like we're going to be able to get in the airport, and yes, you're in. What's that like?
It's almost like it's your own business you're fighting for because it's so emotional. There's so much in that particular incident with the going into the airport. There's so much money at stake that you have to put in, and it's a big risk that you're not going to win. And you become part of their family, and then you end up almost becoming to coin the phrase consigliere, as the Italians use, you become their general counsel, which is one of the services that we provide to our clients. It's called the My General Counsel program. I was able to trademark the name, and it's a flat fee program so that my clients can call however many times they'd like in the month. They can email me. They can say, hey, Lily, I am looking to move my business to X location. I'll say, okay, let me check that zoning for you. Make sure that that's okay. And then I'll help them with their lease, or I'll help them purchase the property. And so that makes it much more affordable. I always tell my clients, I don't want you not to call me because you think that lawyer clock is going to start. Because at the end of the day, we are expensive. And we do bill every 6 minutes. But this is another way of obtaining the advice that you need.
There's some people that think hiring a lawyer is like you only do it when something bad's happened. But hiring a competent person, a lawyer or an accountant, is a tool so you can move forward in the things that you want to get. So if somebody wanted to get a contract with the county, they might be better off hiring somebody that's familiar with that process.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't, we know what happens. There was when the marijuana laws started changing, one of the things the state of Florida said is when you submit your application, it needs to be complete. 100%. You better dot all the I's and the T's, because when we were going to approve the people that have done it correctly, and we're going to say approved. They did not want to approve anybody that wasn't ready to go then. Right? They wanted to see the plans, they wanted to see the lease, they wanted to see ownership. It wasn't, well, we'll go do it if we get approval. So in this case, with hiring somebody like yourself, is you can help them find out everything they need so you can move that forward. So that's really quite a tribute to you and to the small business that doesn't know how to do it and still has to, if you would, run their business rather than how do you get the new business. So in your efforts to try to improve the Greater Kendall Business Association, what do you bring to the table to your membership?
Well, my experience, my knowledge of small business and what their needs are. I also feel that I am very competent in putting programming together for the organization that will attract these businesses and keep them engaged. Engagement is really the key to any organization. Keeping your members there, interested. Why am I part of the GKBA? Well, I am because these are all the things that they provide. So I'm looking forward to that.
One of the things that we're active members of most of the area business clubs, and prior to March last year, we're very active in them. Sometimes our salespeople say, "Well, I'm not getting any business directly from them." I said, "But here's what you get. You get a socialization process that helps you get to this mid-level to have conversations with people, right? So that when you run into them, the aura is different, and that you want to be able to promote the entity. Come aboard, come on over, because that's what each of these clubs need, which is, as you were pursued, come on, maybe you're going to like this." So who was it, by the way, that invited you in?
That's Ray Linez with World Class Parking.
Oh, and he is a world-class guy.
He is. All right? Fantastic.
I watched some of his Facebook stuff. It's just incredible. Great personality, really assertive, and a lot of fun, right, to be there. And that's what we are each marketers for our stuff, right? And when we're involved with charities and things like that, we try to promote that for the bigger good. And so here you were, 2008 or 9, worked for a big firm, and they said, "Sorry, you need to do on your own." A lot of businesses face that exact thing starting last March, which was, here was the way you've been doing business for 20 years, and it's over. So when somebody came to you back then, last March, seems like an eternity.
It does.
Right?
It really
now
does.
we know the sun is shining, all right, and will be brighter soon. So what sort of simpatico did you do to help these people or the organizations stay afloat and get their heads wrapped around what was happening?
It was a rough first probably 4 or 5 months. So we worked very closely with our clients, especially on leases, because leases really never contemplated COVID. And some landlords were expecting to be paid full price. So we did a lot of workouts with landlords. We were able to get leases reduced and or rent waived for several months, which was really key in those companies' survival. We worked with them on the PPP loan. We got information out. I don't know how many newsletters we have put out since last March. The legislation was coming out so quickly that even the lenders didn't know what was happening for a certain amount of time. So every time we got a big bill out of Congress, we would review it. We would put it into language that people could understand. What does this mean to me? How do I get those funds? That was an incredible help for our small business. And it was very impressive that our government, no matter what people can say, that they were able to get that out.
Yes, and you bring up a really good point. In times of stress, that people's patience and ability to process information is greatly reduced.
Yes.
So businesses, myself included, just want to know, can I get this? And what are the terms? All the other stuff, it'd be like, if I want to use a computer, I don't want to know how to make it. I just want to know if I touch the keyboard, is it going to work?
Exactly.
So you're able to offer that to people because you have all that information. Yes. And I think that was key to survive a lot of businesses. And last March, one of the local banks asked us if we could send out on one of our emails, they were going to have I think it was Zoom back then, might have been something else. They were going to have an open discussion about the first PPP money. Well, 450 people went in. And I got to tell you that I didn't want to do it, but then I looked at all the businesses that needed that information. And that was stronger than my desire. Thank you, Denise, the most important person in the house, right? And then the response was so great, and to be able to help them get that information, to have somebody to talk to, was really very rewarding for us. So you're going to take over sometime next year as the chair of the Greater Kendall Business Association.
Yes.
And why do you want to do that?
I think that Kendall is an area that is somewhat overlooked as far as business is concerned. And Kendall is made up of thousands and thousands of small businesses. And there is a need for an organization such as this one to bring these companies together. I think it's very important as a business owner. I'm always looking for things to learn on how to improve my business. And when you work in isolation, I don't think you get that growth, that education. So I think it's a very important role that we fill.
30 some odd years ago, the county said, we want to do business with community newspapers. And they laid out what they thought was going to happen as far as incorporation. And we knew that we were local. We helped support the local community zoning boards, community councils. And we saw that there was a real desire for that. People wanted to go local, and they didn't want to go downtown. It was too intimidating and blah, blah, blah. It was just too much stress versus going in the evening after work and being able to go there. And then we started supporting the incorporation move. And we were pleased to be able to work with Aventura, Sunny Isles, Doral, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, Cutler Bay. I think there were a couple other ones. And we saw that the people wanted that, all right? They wanted cities, they wanted to be able to go to the locals, not just the local zoning board. When the cities came in, that was another local zoning board, but be able to walk down the street and go to City Hall. And then we said, you know what else we need? We need more Chamber of Commerces, more business organizations. So we were delighted to be able to, there's an old saying, victory has many fathers, defeat has none. So we're one of the fathers. There were many people that were involved in that. And what we did is we just started having luncheons. And then we got the regular group of people. And in one of the cities, we just handed them the paperwork from another chamber, said, this is how they started a chamber. Here, we don't want to be on the board. You just need to do that, right? And we went to each of the areas and to do that. So we understand that local is what people want. Unfortunately for the people in Kendall, and we've tried to work with people in Kendall, but you know, there's like 300,000 people, a gigantic area. There's so many enclaves in there. The incorporation failed several times, including God bless you, Joe Martinez, commissioner out there. He said he campaigned on an anti-incorporation movement. And so now the areas are struggling about what is the central point. So one of the things that Chamber of Commerce and business clubs do is help have that focus. So they would go there to get that information. So part of it is, what are you going to do as the chair to bring in other people, not just a business club, but to answer some of those questions that people have about, you know, maybe there's some questions about zoning or the police, or they don't know what to do. So what do you think you're going to bring to the table?
Well, what I would like to do is to reach out to the district commissioner. I would like to engage in a more local plan to identify what are the needs of these business owners. And that is what we're working on this year with Karen Vassell as chair, looking to see how to identify the needs and how to identify the organizations, the businesses to bring into the fold. You mentioned something very important about being local. Miami is a very big place, and you go to one side of town and go to the other, and it's two different worlds. And so it's understanding the needs. And I think that Kendall has been ignored for quite some time. Under the previous chair's tutelage, which was Andy Rodriguez, he did an amazing job in increasing membership. And it was hopping. Those lunches would bring in 125 to 150 people. We bring in big names. The mayor was at our lunch just last month. Catherine Fernandez Rundle. We have the district commissioners come in, school board, major speakers that we are always able to lure into the area.
I'm not sure if there were some chambers of commerces that were here or in some other areas. What they had is they were also invited non-business people,
Hmm.
and so they could have. You don't have to own a business, but you can be concerned, and we're going to give you an opportunity to come to our luncheon and meet so and so. Those folks become evangelists that are there, and so I hope one of the things you do is go to this bigger market, which is the people that live in the area, whatever that area happens to be. And Kendall, it's this big, but we, over all these years, you say, okay, what area are you going to focus on? So I think that's a very good thing to do, to try to invite local people that are not in business, and then also younger people. And I know that Patrick, I forget his name, Homestead High School journalism teacher. I've seen him out there, and by virtue of that, it was a connection to the kids. Patrick, we invite you to come on so we can talk about your kids in the schools, all right? And the kids are an important aspect of it. And one of the things that we've seen that it does invigorate the leaders. Say, here's some young people who are going to be leading Kendall or wherever it is in a few years from now. So Karen's Vassell, who's with the Baptist Hospital West, has been doing a great job, and I know she's very busy. She's going to be here next week, folks. So what is it, and how do you work with her and the other board members so you can move this evolution that is about to happen from being a great business organization to the challenging times of the challenges we've had in the last year? How are you going to lead people on the way out?
You know, what's different about this board than many other boards is this is an unpaid board, so it's a working board. And there are individuals on the board who've been on there for ever since the GKBA started. These are people that are totally committed and totally believe in the GKBA and what it can do. And that's why we've been able to survive. Do we have some computer issues sometimes? Sure. Do we have problems with information? Sure. But in the end, it's a very solid group of people and who are committed to taking us through this time. And I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. With more and more vaccinations being done, I see a very rosy second half of the year for us coming in business.
When you say that, I'm just so overtaken by emotion because I've sat here, for a year and tried to encourage people that it's going to be a better tomorrow and a better tomorrow. It's going to get better. And I'm thinking, when is that going to start? All right. Well, it certainly has started, not just in earnest, but I think it's rapidly expanding on access and about people feeling good. I know some of your people out there, Andy Rodriguez, what a great job he's done to try to keep people together. And he's very encouraging and very outgoing, and his wife, I forget her name.
Vanessa.
Vanessa, sorry. Pace, I remember that middle name.
Vanessa Pace, all right.
And there are people that are there that want to be able to help, not just the members, but be able to grow that organization, because people that serve on unpaid boards have a commitment to themselves and to the community. So what is it that you would like to see the board do in a really big way?
I would like to be able to reach every single business owner in Kendall and invite them to join. That's what I would like to do. And I will personally tell them why they should join. And
Joe Martinez, you've got the mailing list, buddy. So there you go.
Please share.
So I think that's a wonderful thing to do, because certainly for the next year or so, people are looking for some more direction, to feel good, and to be in a group of people that have similar issues, which is, how do I grow this? What about my family? If I need some help, is somebody there that can do that? A year or two ago, I went to your annual event. It was at West Kendall Lexus. Maybe it was 2 years ago. That was tremendous. Oh my goodness! It looked like several hundred booths there. A lot of people, very exciting, and a lot of free pens. By the way,
that's the expo.
The expo. Mm-hmm. So that's really good. We are community newspapers, and our assets are available to help the current board and all the boards to be able to move this forward, because we know that in June and July, things are going to be are getting better. And certainly by September, when all the kiddies are back in school and whatever vacations is a little screwy for everybody, all right? Certainly all the traffic will be back by then. And
I'd venture to say it's here already.
Yes. Oh, yes. And so we will enjoy working with you and the board to make this grow bigger and better. And we do a lot of newsletters all over town. We have in the range of about 800,000 subscribers to our different newsletters.
Wow.
And an interesting thing came out when you mentioned 2008, where there was a change there. Well, in last March, when our ability to go to groups ended, we were doing a few videos. And when we do a video, oh man, we got this video, we were out doing it. I said, there might be a thirst for this. So we set up on this table with a phone like that and a $20 stand. Let's invite people over. The thirst for it is very high, and people want to be able to communicate. So one of the things that we learned is that you have to be agile. You have to, the overused word pivot, but you have to be able to figure out what people want and be able to provide that service. So we are reaching more people today than we've ever had before, because we can go right into their homes, right in their computer, right in their purses, right into the local restaurant with their phones. So this is certainly one of the ways that we can help you and the other organizations. I do want to give a shout out to South Day Chamber of Commerce. Carrie Black has been doing a wonderful job. She comes here every week with some guests. Mark Trowbridge from Coral Gables Chamber, and you're on with him. The Pinecrest Business Association, Palmetto Bay, and Doral Chamber. And we have a few other ones that are doing that, because we know that it is our responsibility and our obligation to be able to help businesses have a point of connection. So it has been our pleasure being with you. And right now, there's probably some young person looking at you and thinking, what does she have to say? So Tommy, what camera do we have? This one right here. I want you to talk to some 18 to 24-year-old that's looking down the road, and they're questioning their future because of what everybody's been through in the last year. So take it away. It's all yours, Lillian.
Dear 18 or 20-year-old, if you're thinking of going into business for yourself, do it. If you have a passion that you have already found, take that passion and turn it into a business. Times have been hard this year, but it's going to be over soon. And even during this very difficult years, we have had clients that have done tremendously. Why? Something that Michael just mentioned. They have pivoted their businesses. They have looked for other ways of selling their goods, their services. And those are the businesses that are surviving. The ones that are being innovative, they're being different. They're providing their services in a way that their customers can get to them. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me, Lillian Ser, at Ser & Associates. I'm at 305-222-7282, and I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Wow, Lily, very good. And so, folks, if you're in the social media business and you're looking for some part-time work, this is the place you can do that. Again, this is live with Miami's Community News. I want to thank our guest, Lillian Ser, who's an attorney and is very active with the Greater Kendall Business Association. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael, and to Grant as well, and community newspapers. You guys do an amazing job for all communities in Miami.
Thank you. And folks, she is this calm, all right? This is the real deal right here. Again, Tommy, thanks so much, and Denise for the coffee and for learning. I appreciate it, folks. Again, thank you for joining us.